Hi, welcome to Scriptures Unveiled. And last time we talked about Peter with the sword cutting off the high priest's slave's right ear and what that represented.
Yes.
And that Peter's false ego was in fight mode.
Fight mode for sure.
Right. And now we'll see Peter in the flight mode with the rooster that crows.
Oh, yes.
Yes, the denials. And we're going to go to Matthew 26.
Okay.
69 through 75.
All righty. Yes.
All right. So you get it?
Yes. Oh, Matthew 26.
26, 69 through 75.
Okay.
It's a really long chapter. All right.
Okay, Peter's denial. Now Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard, and a certain servant girl came to him and said, "You too were with Jesus the Galilean." But he denied it before them all, saying, "I do not know what you are talking about." And when he had gone out to the gateway, another servant girl saw him and said to those who were there, "This man was with Jesus of Nazareth." And again he denied it with an oath, "I do not know the man." And a little later, the bystanders came up and said to Peter, "Surely you too are one of them, for the way you talk gives you away." Then he began to curse and swear, "I do not know the man." And immediately a cock crowed. And Peter remembered the word which Jesus had said, "Before a cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. And he went out and wept bitterly. Wow.
Yeah.
And so this shows a lot. So Peter is in his flight mode. And right here in this scripture is an allegory where the 2 servants, girls, and the bystander is representing the revealing of our divinity within. They just stand as a symbol of pulling out of Peter who he really is. Even the bystanders say, "You talk like him." Because remember, Jesus is represents our divinity. Right. So they were identifying him in his divinity, but what did Peter do?
He denied his divinity.
He denied it.
Because he was still seeing through the humanity.
And just humanity. And guess what? That word denial actually means disown.
Wow.
Because he was seeing through that separated or perceived separated ego, which is an illusion. He only could see through his human consciousness, could not, and disowned his divinity. And also, it says oath in, denial in Greek. I'm sorry. I was saying denial. The word denial in Greek means to disown. And also the word oath in Greek means fence, limitation, or boundary. So you see that where Peter made an oath saying, "I do not know this man," he's actually establishing a boundary and limitations. He's actually fencing himself.
He's actually reinforcing that ego, that separated ego that divided the human consciousness and the divine consciousness.
Yes. And then he's fencing himself in that just human consciousness.
Yeah, fencing
he's just
him in.
limiting himself right in seeing just human.
Yeah.
Just through the human mind, just through the intellect.
Yeah.
He's totally disowning the divinity within.
Wow.
And then the word curse, because we see at the last, he cursed and he swore. And that word curse in Greek actually means devote to destruction, to bring down from a higher to lower.
Wow.
Literally.
Yeah, the higher divine consciousness into the remain in the lower human consciousness.
The Lord.
Yeah.
Descend, where we fail to see ourselves as just divine. You're actually descending.
Nice.
Yes.
And so in the Greek, we'll go with the crow and the rooster. Crow is to call to oneself or to bring to light. That calling to oneself really symbolizes to be called to his true self, meaning calling within himself who he is. So that he is divine, not just human.
Yes.
And the call oneself, we are both, calling oneself that we're both divine and human.
Yes.
It's bringing those 2 consciousnesses into one
Yes.
consciousness.
Yes.
And rooster is to ward off. It's that picture of that separated ego. So first, it had to be revealed that that why he was wounded there, meaning to be free from the false ego. Because remember, at the end, he was wounded.
He was.
Because he was
Grieving.
grieving.
Yes.
Right. He had to ward off through that wounding.
Yes.
In a way that perceived separated ego.
You're right.
To be free from that false ego so that he could float into his true being.
You're right. That warding off is the warding off of that separated illusion because it had to be revealed.
It had to be revealed.
Peter
right?
had no idea it was existing.
Yes.
You
so
know.
it had to come to the surface in order for it to be overcome.
Yes, absolutely.
And Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And in the Hebrew, the number 3 is gemel, a picture of a camel.
Yeah.
And that represents bringing from one place to another.
Ooh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that 3 also represents that one place to another is a portal where we either descend to a lower self or we ascend to a higher consciousness. That 3 represents a portal. It's the bridging over.
Yeah.
And those are either way. And so in this allegory, we witness Peter actually descend, like go down because of this perceived separated ego, which had to be bruised.
Yeah, yes.
You know, in order for us to go through that portal of higher consciousness, there has to be that suffering, that bruising, you know, that warding off in order to ascend. And Peter experienced this necessary pain through his grief because he had to come to an end to himself.
Right.
He had to experience that pain. He was grieved because he realized when that crow cried, which was him calling it to himself, when that crow cried out, he started to grieve because he realized what Jesus had prophesied.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it wounded him.
It wounded him deeply.
Yes, it did.
Yep. So I think that's
So yes,
it
so
for this
thank
time.
you for joining us. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you.